From project reviews to incredible interviews, along with the general things in Web3, CraigO's Crypto Corner covers the space in a fun and engaging way. We dive in so our listeners can conceptualize, plan, strategize, and implement their very next move. We are quickly becoming a platform that enriches and supports the overall foundation of Web3. In order to grow, you need your voice to be heard. If you have infinite curiosity, then CraigO's Crypto Corner is just for you. Come join us.
You're tuning into CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. Great reviews, incredible interviews with the leading people in the Web3 ethos, and just sometimes the general things Web3. So I want to first welcome everybody onto Twitter Spaces, Facebook, YouTube Live, and we've been doing a little bit LinkedIn Live lately on Twitter on the spaces that they have, which is really cool. It's another great way on 4 full platforms to really engage and build community on CraigO's Crypto Corner. So before we get to today's guest, Ralph is out of the office. And also my good friend and co-host that comes in a lot of times, Matt. We're wishing him a speedy recovery. Not feeling great today, but super excited and happy to see him in Twitter Spaces. So let's go into our daily Ralpha before we get to today's guest. And Tony, in a minute, I'll have you queue up that screen share, but not yet. Altcoin season, aka the shitcoin that gets a lot of us in trouble, is in full effect. Pepe, Chad, Wojak, and dozens of others are popping up every day. Based on the history, there could be some upside, some big upside, according to Ralph, but possibly a lot of downside. Yeah, I go with the latter part of that one. So slow down, as he says, Ralph says, slow down, do your own research, use a minting wallet. We all get in trouble. Don't lose all of your digital assets that are in your big wallet, the wallet you show off and you flex to everyone. There's no reason to click on that link. Practice JOMO, the joy of missing out. My friends over at JPEG Morgan know exactly what that is, and today's guest is also fellow JPEGer as well. And don't invest more than you are willing to lose. That's another great point and great piece of advice. Starbucks and Nike are doubling down on bringing new people into Web3 space. Starbucks, with their next drop, I actually believe today, are opening it up to the public. Earlier for the Odyssey members, I'm an Odyssey member, been for about a month and a half, trying to play the DGen route without overspending or getting the right product, so that way I can earn stamps. There's 3 that I can earn right now. I've already earned 1, and I've shared that on post tweets, so you can check that out on CraigO's Crypto page. But Starbucks and Nike with the next drop, the swoosh drop from Nike, 2 brands that are doing it right. Now, established projects like Pixelmon and Azuki, they're seeing some runs right now, but new mints are slow and mostly failing. NFTs have run post altcoin season before, so Ralph is keeping a close eye. Follow the trends and patterns to draw your own conclusions. And Tony, screen share real quick. I've said a million times, if you're not following the Daily Ralpha, you are missing out. His newsletter is free. It's a 5-minute or less read. When you become a true DGen like myself, you get to the meat and potatoes and what is most important. All right, we can come off of that screen share. Thank you, Tony. All right, so let me give the introduction for today's incredible guest. We're going to do a deep dive into tech and innovation in Web3. Along with the gamification of the toy industry and what's to come. Will Reinrob is the co-founder and CEO of On-Chain Studios, makers of the NFT gaming platform CRYPTOYS. Will has been leading the charge in creating a platform that changes the landscape of the toy and digital play industry. CRYPTOYS is a native NFT digital platform crafting fully interactive collectibles and play-to-earn games and next-level interactive experiences, all on the Flow blockchain. What are the key things that Will looks for when evaluating a new potential opportunity? We will first dive into a partnership between Mattel and CRYPTOYS. What do we need to know about this exciting collaboration? Will is not only the CEO of On-Chain Studios, but also the founder of La Flamingo Capital, a venture firm that invests in early-stage startups across various industries, including fintech, consumer products, and healthcare. In fact, Will's entrepreneurial journey started with LiveNinja, a Miami-based startup that provided video chat platform for experts to connect with people seeking advice and services. It was sold in 2017. Outside of work, Will is a proud father of 3, including a shepherd named Ace. He's also a big fan of Miami sports, particularly the Heat and Dolphins. Let's plot, plan, strategize, and implement our next move so we can learn and grow together in Web3. GM, Will, how are you doing?
Good morning, Craig. Doing well, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you being here.
It's an honor to have you here.
Yeah.
And, I guess I want to start with you is I remember when I believe I saw it in the Daily Ralpha and I saw CRYPTOYS and I looked really quick and I was like, this reminds me of, and believe me, not even close to being exactly like, but there were some comparisons where it reminded me briefly of Vivi. And there were a lot of issues that Vivi had and they're a completely different ecosystem. But when I look at it, I think there were a lot of mistakes that they made. I think the manipulation of how many bots were out there when people were degenning in and buying the gems and gems were stolen and all of those things. Were there things to learn from that platform to help you moving forward as you launch CRYPTOYS?
Yeah, sure. Happy to dive into it. Just to make sure, because you guys do an awesome job. I'm here on the Twitter space as well. Should I be unmuting myself on the Twitter space, or can they hear me?
They can hear you.
They can hear you because I'm piped through your mixer. Okay, awesome. What up, everybody on the Twitter space, and what up, everybody listening to the show here. We're first of all huge fans of Vivi and massive respect for everything that they've built. I'm a user myself. Have a number of collectibles on Vivi, and just as a collector in general, just really vibe with the platform and what they've been able to achieve. We come at things a little bit differently, so I don't see it as nearly one-to-one competitive. I think there's certainly aspects that overlap, just like a lot of things in the Web3 and NFT space, but we really focus on things from an interactive standpoint, and creating games and gameplay, and really that intersection between a toy company, if you were to think like an old school legacy toy company that's been around for a very, very long time, and a gaming company. So if you could think like kind of like an intersection between a toy company like Mattel and a gaming company like Nintendo, we're really kind of right there in that Venn diagram in the middle there. So we like to think of ourselves as something that's completely different and something unique. We are aiming to build with CRYPTOYS the world's premier digital toy company. And it's an interesting thing to say because there's never been a digital toy company before. There are a lot of companies out there that have forays into digital. And certainly there are toy companies out there that have applications and make video games and things like that. But there's never been a toy company that's been built from the ground up as digital first. And it's really interesting to us and fascinating to us what experiences we can create through the lens of a toy if you just completely rewrote the script. If you had a blank sheet of paper and you say, okay, let's make a digital toy company built from the ground up as digital first. You remember, Craig, back when we were kids, we would imagine we'd be playing with our action figures and we'd be giving them voices, right? Like they'd be talking to each other, or we'd take our superheroes and fly them through the air, pretend like they were flying. Well, you could actually do that in the digital realm, right? All those things can be seen and experienced right in front of you. So if the limitations of plastics and manufacturing and physics and gravity aren't a limitation at all, and you could really do whatever you want through the lens of a toy, what experiences can you unlock? So we really think we're coming at this a little bit differently. We are very squarely identified as a toy company, and really kind of pushing innovation from toys, where I think some other platforms out there, they think of themselves a little bit differently, maybe more so in the collectible space. We clearly do have a collectability aspect to our platform as well, that we really focus on, but we're really more so identified as a toy company.
I think it's your imagination runs wild. I have a 6-year-old son and a 3-year-old daughter. And so to actually have them engage at some point with the CRYPTOYS and have fun with that and be able to, their imagination's limitless. And then I also think there's a collectible aspect because we're so early on in such a speculative market that you have people just purchasing, whether it's we'll talk about unwrapping and unboxing and the differences between those later in the episode. But I think you bring up a lot of really great points, right? Is that you now get to create the limitless. I mean, we were children of the 80s.
Yes.
We would fly our toy through the world. Now, obviously, there's a connection, the physio-digital, as we call it, right? There's a physical and a digital aspect and a correlation. Now, you have a partnership with Mattel. Maybe we can just talk a little bit about that. At top level, what should we be thinking about that collaboration and the value that it's going to bring from a standpoint of let's go collector first, and then let's talk about the people who are going to have play and have fun and not care about the money on that end of things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, look, we we think of ourselves, first of all, everything we do is focused around enjoyment and entertainment and fandom and fun. That's how we start everything with, really. So like if there's any monetary or money making aspects to the platform, that has to be essentially secondary to putting that first, because if you don't have a fun product and the user experience isn't great and it doesn't attract, millions of people, this is all a moot point at the end of the day for any aspect of collectability, whether you're in it for, monetary value or you're in it for other aspects. Like, this has to be a great product and has to be fun and enjoyable for people to use. So we start with that. Now, Mattel has been a tremendous partner. A lot of people, when they see the Mattel deal, they think of it, oh, this is a licensing deal with Mattel. It's actually, sure, it's a licensing deal, but it goes a step beyond that. Mattel's actually shareholders in the company. Mattel invested as part of our Series A. So they're true partners in every sense of the word. They've really helped us out on a number of different fronts. First and foremost, as you can see, our first foray into the IP world with them is Masters of the Universe. And then, we're doing a lot of other IPs with them as well, coming through the pipe here. And then lots of cool things that we have planned with Mattel that we can't announce just yet, but some really cool innovations that we think we could give to collectors that are both, digital collectors and more traditional collectors as well.
And see, that's where it brings the credibility, right? Because the onboarding and getting a Web2 normie. And by the way, we're going to share in a little bit. I'm going to share my collection. I have 11.
Let's do it.
CRYPTOYS.
I love it.
Something that I got early on, and as I get my real estate closings, I then will cost average into certain things that I believe in. And the reason that I believe in you is it's a very organized platform. And I love the fact that right now your marketplace isn't open. Because I think once you open up that part of the ecosystem, then you're starting to play speculative and you're getting away from the big F, which is fun. We want people to have fun and engage. Listen, you want to play just money? Play at the casino. As we mentioned with the Daily Ralpha, what are people doing? Altcoin season. I'm not a good gambler. I lose every single time, Will. And you're going to share a war story for us, because I'm sure you've had at some point through all the successes. I want your major loss. And I'm not asking for it right now, but I'm just making that note for myself to come back to that. But I do want to do a quick screen share, because I do want people to follow. And those that are tuning in on Twitter Spaces, I would love you guys to go follow CRYPTOYS. They've got 21,400 followers. They're doing great things. They have great engaging YouTube videos. A shout out to the people that lead it up. I mean, you've got an employee team, I believe about 65 people, full-time staff, really working to not only develop and mature from a developer standpoint, but you also have the people that are creating the network, the sizzle, creating the excitement, having people in real time, bringing up your collectors and sharing their stories. So I've been through a lot of the YouTube videos. I think you have a little under 1,000 subs on that, but the video content's great. How people are interacting are great. So I want people in Twitter Spaces to know why, or compelling them to go follow you guys and to get involved. And by the way, the onboarding is so incredibly easy. As we go to the, you have Flamingo Capital, right? And so part of investing is in your blood. So when you came up with this idea, which I think was spawned from your children, and that idea was birthed from there, talk a little bit about that part of the story, and so that how they came to life. Because you're like, you can have the money, but if you don't have a great business plan and a real purpose, which is your children, talk to us a little bit about how that came together and when did that happen?
Yeah, so this was around 2018. And my daughter has, she's now 10, and she was 5 turning 6, and she was really into these toys. Basically, they're called blind bag toys back then. These are things like LOL Surprise, Hatchimals, Barbie color reveal. For listeners that don't know what these are, there's essentially like you buy these like containers for 20 or 30 bucks at like Target or Walmart. You take them home, you open them up, inside is a random toy, and some are more rare than others. And kids are looking to collect them, kind of like Pokemon cards, trying to collect them all, but this is like the plastic toy version. And my daughter was just absolutely obsessed with this stuff. And I was spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on these toys. And, at one point I was just completely curious. So like, why this? Why are you so fascinated with this? So I started to do research into the space and realized that it wasn't just like a one brand that was really even though it was one brand that was really, dominating the space. Every toy company was jumping into the blind bag surprise pack unboxing experience. Rightfully so, because it was the hottest selling toy in the world for 5 years in a row. and printing money. So every toy company was like, hey, we have to be involved with blind bags. That's what consumers want. In a lot of ways, it became the ultimate YouTube unboxing toy. So YouTube marketing really, like, you know, it just kind of took hold of that because the formatting was so great for people to unbox on their YouTube channels and things like that. So I had a great marketing component along with it. So my daughter was obsessed with it. I was looking into it, just fascinated. You know, walking down the toy aisles at Target or Walmart, I was just like, kind of, wow, look at what the toy industry has turned into with all these surprise pack unboxings. Consumers seem to really love it. And then at the same time, you know, I've been a collector my entire life. Started off with like baseball cards and basketball cards, got into Pogs, for those of you that were Pogs back in the day, comic books. And then as I became a little bit older, you know, becoming a kid to becoming a teenager, and then into my 20s, I became a gamer. So just the natural ability for going from something analog to digital, and obsessing over collecting games and things like that, you know, was pretty natural to me. And then I follow a venture capitalist that I respect dearly. His name's Fred Wilson from Union Square Ventures. He was an early investor in Twitter, Tumblr, a number of others, just one of the best investors of all time. And he writes a daily blog, avc.com. And he writes a blog post. This was around 2018. And he said he's investing in this new company and this new concept called CryptoKitties. And he's like, don't laugh. These are digital cats on the blockchain, but digital collectibles and NFTs are going to be a big thing one day. And for me as a collector all my life, it made a ton of sense. You know, okay, I love this idea of digital scarcity and digital collectability. To me, this made all the sense in the world. So I bought a few CryptoKitties, opened up a MetaMask wallet in 2018, bought a few CryptoKitties, and just was kind of playing around with the concept. And then one day my daughter screams from the playroom that she's, you know, extremely excited. She said, Dad, come quick, come quick. I got the ultra rare. Finally, I got the ultra rare. This is the one that she's been looking for. And that was like the big light bulb moment for us. We're like, hey, here is this multi-billion-dollar segment of the toy industry. Because my daughter would open these things and then they would just sit and collect dust in the corner of the room. There was no playability with these things after the fact. It was just more of a collectability and chase standpoint to collect. I said, here's this multi-billion-dollar segment of the toy industry based on collectability and scarcity. They have no utility really after the fact, after you collect them. Here's this digital collectible thing that Fred's talking about, this NFT concept. We can merge these two worlds together and create the first digital toy that has a lot of these characteristics. So I asked my daughter if this was something she'd be interested in doing and creating, kind of like as a father-daughter bonding experience. And she said, oh my God, Dad, that'd be amazing. So we started kind of nights and weekends just kind of talking about what that would look like, and then looped in my co-founders, Emilio, Alfonso, Freddie, and JT, and off into the races. You know, it's been kind of crazy ever since. Now, from 2018 to 2020, nobody cared about this project outside of us. This was something that we were building just, you know, kind of like as a passion project, and we're hoping people would love it. But we were mainly building it just kind of as like proof of concept for our kids and doing something cool. And then, you know, obviously, if you stick with it long enough, the market starts to turn in a big way. And we all know what happened in late 2020. NBA jumped in with NBA Top Shot, really legitimized the space. And then, you know, a lot of brands started to take NFTs and digital collectibles very seriously. And we were able to raise a little bit of capital and make this our full-time job. And, you know, we've been full-time on this thing ever since.
And they're on the Flow blockchain as well, NBA Top Shot. And you talk about the process of creating, right? And proof of concept is something that really stood out to me in what you just said. And here we were building from 2018 to 2020, just saying, we can make this work together. You and your daughter came together, brain strategy sessions. You bring in your friends who you're doing other parts of business with, saying, hey, this is a great idea. Taking all of that were encompassed with these mystery bags. And I hadn't heard of these before, which is really cool. And it makes sense, right? Because we're playing on a few things. We're playing on supply versus demand.
Right.
And one of the things that I love on the platform, which we'll share in a little bit, is that everything is priced $39.99, every box. And so you can get something that's rare, something that's common. But what it does is it allows people to diversify in their collection with a little bit of luck.
Right.
And my thought is I'm a hodler. I'm a holder, because when you see people that have great connections, a great way of deploying strategy. And so when we go onto the website, I want you to take us around a little bit. We'll do that in the screen share so you can talk a little bit about that. But, you know, I would say an overall question is, what does it take to achieve the feat that you are currently accomplishing? Is there like one piece of alpha from a strategy standpoint that you look at and go, this is the one thing that people need to do as they're building in this space?
Determination and conviction, I think, is the biggest thing in this space in particular. Operating in the Web3 space is like, first of all, building a startup is incredibly hard, no matter what you do, and no matter what space. Elon Musk says it's like chewing on glass and staring into the abyss. And that's about right. It's so hard, to build something from scratch, from the ground up, and to go through those brick walls. But then Web3 is a multiplier on, it's like you're playing the video game, you're choosing expert mode or hard mode every single time, because you're effectively, first of all, you're like a publicly traded startup. It's because you're a startup that's not publicly traded, but yet there's value association with you every single moment based on quote unquote floor prices and activity and metrics and whatnot. And what is the value of some of the things you're creating on a daily basis. And then you're in an early nascent space where it's growing and you have a lot of naysayers. So you have a passionate early adopter community, which is great. But then if you look at the majority of people, and you would say 99.9% of the world who is not quote unquote in the NFT space or has a Web3 collectible of any sort, it's a big uphill battle and education process to get people to understand what these are and why you should be interested in them, and how this could be the future of collecting, and open up so many doors to people. So in particular in this space, persistence is vital. Like, you really need to stick with it, because the cycles are brutal. But there's no doubt, I believe with like every fiber of my being, that this is the future, that this, like, we are at the early days of the future of the web and the internet and collectability, which is a multi-billion dollar industry. This will be at the core of collectors and just the whole collectible market. So I think it's exciting to be at the early days of that. But you need to have persistence, because the naysayers are in full force, and this is going to be a long journey. You got to be prepared to be in this for years and years to come. But I think the ones that stick with it, that really believe in what they're doing, and that are mission driven and mission oriented, are going to be really rewarded.
And by the way, I'm going to go to Twitter Spaces in a little bit, but I'm really focused on the quality of our content that we're creating. But one piece of alpha that I just took to what you just said was not even the words, the tonation, how it left your voice, that the bravado in your belief. And we say right now, people go bear market. I go an opportunity market. Here I am in a podcast that very early on, we were just like, oh, we're going to have liftoff. I feel pretty comfortable at what I'm doing. And it's only become more after every single episode and every great conversation.
Yeah.
But we know that if your head is down, focused on the content creation, the storyline, which is incredibly important for you guys. And that's why I invite people not only follow your Twitter page, but go on to YouTube, watch some of these videos, watch how you guys intimately interact with your community and the collectors. And as you said, the big F is fun. If you're not having fun, you're not believing in what you're doing, the strategy, the speculative part, which we'll talk about as to why I think people should get involved, is because you don't need your MetaMask to get involved. We're accepting crypto for a bit, and we'll talk a little bit about, I think that's shut off. But what I do want to go into right now is talking about why the Flow blockchain. I think I get why, but I'd like you to articulate that a little bit for us.
Yeah. Well, first off, you got to give credit to Dapper Labs, because nobody would be here right now without what Dapper has done foundationally. I mean, not only they really created the standard, like they literally created the NFT standard. They created the name, the term NFT. Like, this all started with them and what they did with CryptoKitties, right? And oftentimes you ask people, how did you get into the space? Not these days, not everybody, but if you asked like a year ago, how'd you get in the space? It was either one of two things. It was either through CryptoKitties or NBA Top Shot, both of which was created by Dapper Labs. So they really have been innovators and trailblazers. And they, like, you talk about that conviction and belief. I know that company has so much conviction and belief, and are here for the long term. And they've just been tremendous partners, so like they got involved with us at the early days and provided us a lot of support and resources to how to build this in the right way. But it goes beyond that. So like the way they built Flow blockchain, and remember, the Flow blockchain was built to solve their own problem. They launched CryptoKitties on Ethereum. Ethereum had massive scaling issues with CryptoKitties. So they're like, this is, our goal is to reach the masses, millions and millions of people. There's no way we could do that on Ethereum. Obviously, there's lots of efficiencies made with Ethereum recently, and there's been a lot of progress there. But there was a lot of nuances besides that Dapper said, you know what, we have to create our own blockchain that is for consumers and for fun, right? For the masses. And when you look at the way the blockchain is built and the programming language, it does a lot of things extremely well and it's built very smartly for consumer facing apps and like things that we want to do. So for example, one of the things that's built natively into Flow is this concept where you could have effectively a parent NFT and a child NFT. We're essentially saying this NFT owns this NFT. So I could take like an item for a CRYPTOY, like a sword, and you could have He-Man, for example, and the He-Man, that particular CRYPTOY, could also be bundled and own that sub NFT underneath it and bundled together very natively and seamlessly. So that was like just the way it's structured was very important. Also, like we talk about onboarding new people into the space, that's also important to onboard new technical people and developers onto the space. And the way that Cadence is built out is like you could take any Web 2 developer that is interested in learning how to do this, and they can transition over to building on Flow seamlessly. Like we've seen it happen all the time within our organization. It's very, very intuitive. The other thing is consumers and brands respect Flow because of what they've done in their track record in the past. So like we come to the table with a lot of like really well-known tier 1 household name brands, and Dapper Labs and Flow is a brand that's trusted in the space because, again, their track record and the things they've done. It just also provides really great user experiences. It's seamless onboarding like we've seen in the past. You don't need a MetaMask wallet or anything like that. I can go on, but those are some of the reasons.
And we're going to do the screen share, and I'm going to show my 11 collection of boxes, which I plan on getting more cubes, not boxes. And by the way, shout out real quick to the 30+ people that are in the Twitter spaces. Again, we want to make sure that we're creating great content for anybody that's not involved with CrypToys. Highly recommend that you look at it. The onboarding is extremely easy to set up an account. You can set it up directly through your email. You don't need to worry about seed phrases. A lot of the things that I think caution people to get involved. And last night, I'll share a quick story for you guys. I have a coin. I'm going to leave it out of the name. And the reason is someone, why are you selling that token? Well, because I want to actually diversify into other things. Mm-hmm. And so I was on my ledger and I was moving this particular token and I couldn't move it to MetaMask. I had to move it to my Coinbase and then do a swap function and then send it back to my MetaMask wallet. So from ledger to Coinbase, then swap it, then send it. And I think to myself, on a basic level, it took me so long to actually understand those nuances, like private key, public key, seed phrase, don't lose that or your stuff is gone. Right. And what I love about what you're doing is anybody who's tuning in today who operates on the normal internet can hop right on and have digital assets that are safe and secure on your infrastructure and on the Flow blockchain and know that it's there and a community that's building. And do it in a very inexpensive manner, not counting anybody's money, because everybody, $39 is different to one person than it is the next. And stay in your financial lane. I know that I am. I've definitely been conservative. As I said, like last year was my scholarship season. So any losses that I took it at the end of last year. I did some tax loss harvesting and even preemptively a little bit this year, just based on some speculation. And again, every day being a proud reader of the Daily Ralpha. Mm-hmm. But I ran through why the Flow blockchain on ChatGPT. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about what you think on ChatGPT and go a little off course, and then we'll come back and we're going to get some engagement from our Twitter space if anybody has questions. But one of the unique features of Flow is its ability to handle a high level of transaction volumes and support various types of dApps, as you had mentioned. Flow uses a modified version of the proof of stake consensus algorithm, which allows it to achieve high throughput and low transaction fees. So pretty much on spot with what we're talking about. And it is a recognized blockchain leader in the space. And it is allowing CrypToys and other amazing companies to develop and grow and flourish. So I love that we talked a little bit about that. Okay, so let's go actually directly to screen share, because what I would like to do for those, and I'll tell you when I have it up, Just wait 1 second for me, guys. Alrighty, just go into my CRYPTOYS account. You can do the screen share because I want to bring Will in there if I can. Thanks, Tony. All right, my personal account, and we could actually today, we're going to actually unwrap another one of my toys, and at the bottom, you can see my other 6 toys. So let's talk a little bit about this collection, and let's start on the backpack end. And by the way, anybody that's tuning in Twitter Spaces, remember, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook Live. Please feel free to go in and check out these screen shares either now or after, depending if you're at work or at home. We want you guys to see in real time what's going on. And I'd like to stay in here for about 5 minutes. So we're in backpack. Talk to us a little bit about this, Will.
Yeah, your backpack, from a Web3 perspective, this is basically essentially your wallet. This is where you hold all of your CRYPTOYS and your different collectibles. And yeah, it all kind of starts there from like your inventory. So you can see 3 different types of CRYPTOYS in different states. You have your CRYPTOY cube, which is what you see here, which is unwrapped. You don't know the contents that are inside. Then you have your blister pack, your wrapped CRYPTOY. That's in mint condition at that point. And there's benefits to keeping it in the blister pack. There's also benefits to taking it out of the blister pack. So there's 3 states. You have the cube, you have the blister pack, and then you have the unwrapped version. So like you think of like the toy collector just in the physical world, right? There are people that collect toys, and like, hey, I'll point to myself as one, right? That have things like this, right? Spider-Man in a blister pack, right? To me, this is a collectible. This is not something that I'm going to want to play with. It's not something I'll interact with, etc. At the same time, I got Donatello, my guy over here. This is out of the packaging, right? I could articulate him. I could interact with him in different ways, put him in a play set, all this different stuff. CRYPTOYS is built with those 2 types of collectors and consumers in mind, right? There are people that want to collect and just want to build up an awesome collection. Those are the people that I'm more keen to put in the blister packs. Then there are people that want to play with their toys, that want to interact with their toys, play them in games and do different kind of things with them. Those are the people that want to take it out of the packaging and see that toy come alive, so they can do all these cool experiences with. And it's also built so people can have a little bit of both. Like me, for example, I have half of my collection unwrapped, ready to go in the different games that we're going to be coming out with, and half of my collection still in mint condition in blister packs. It's kind of like in the sneaker game, we call it one to rock and one to stock. It's kind of similar in that sense. So really, it's just what kind of collector are you, and we want to cater to everyone. Right now, everything is $39.99 because that's the hero tier. A lot of these initial lines that we've created are the best of the best, or the top of the line toys that we're offering. But we will be offering, larger quantity, lower priced lines, here over the next, I would say there will be an elite line. We have 3 tiers: the hero, the elites, and the adventurers. We'll have the elite lines coming out soon for folks that are interested in jumping in at a lower price point.
Hero, elite,
and adventurers. That's right. Yep.
And I love that, again, you always learn something new, especially when you hop onto these episodes. And I said, selfishly, this is the biggest gamble myself in Web3 is I just cube, blister pack, unwrapped. And you just perfectly articulated that. Now, so Tony, I want to go back to a quick screen share. Talk about so early on, right? And people are bullish on you, as I am, in CRYPTOYS and the CRYPTOYS family, and developing the ecosystem. And we'll talk about some of the amazing people like Proof and Stephanie, the people that operate the YouTube channel and how they interact and engage. You are purposeful on the people that you have in the company because they are a representation of you and your daughter's vision to bringing this, the proof of concept in between 2018 and 2020. That's pretty powerful. Do a quick screen share, Tony, if you can. So there are 4 different launches right now. And everything is, when I say 4 different series. And everything, if you think about it right now, and you're a believer like I am in what you're doing, if I'm a speculative person, I'm saying to myself, well, a certain portion of my collection is going to be cube. A certain portion is going to be blister pack, and a certain portion will be unwrapped so that I can play in the CRYPTOYverse. Talk to me a little bit about that interactivity when you get to that level of the unwrapped toy, as you had so perfectly said.
So yeah, we have so much cool stuff coming out in that regard. We're building a number of different experiences. Folks that are on the platform today, they know what is called the block, which is kind of like the test drive area where you could take your toy out of the packaging and interact on the block, which is basically like, it looks like a Tron style grid. And you could take your CrypToy for a spin, you could run and jump with it, and you could see already out of the gate, like folks go, okay, this is different. This is a different kind of project. This is not just a JPEG. This is not just a looping video. This is an interactive toy that I'm playing with. So it already kind of showcases where we're going with it. And then we have a number of games that we're working on. We are going to be releasing to our early members of our community early private betas of our first mobile app and game. It's a side-scrolling flying game that you could take your CrypToy and fly around, collect CrypToy cubes and things like that. And we have a number of initiatives on that front that we are working on. The first one that I can announce today is that mini game that we call Zoofo Escape. It's the game that's kind of tied to that line that we're really, really excited about. But there's many more games and experiences that we have in the pipe that people will be hearing about very shortly. We have CrypToys Bootcamp, which if you're in the Discord, you know all about, which is a test flight invite-only experience to our early community that will allow people to beta the early games and experiences, starting with mini game 1. The second one is an AR experience that's coming out soon, so you'll see your CrypToys in AR very shortly. Again, early members of our community are going to be able to beta test that via test flight very soon. And then we have some more cool mobile apps and games coming on that we haven't quite formally announced just yet, but they will be coming. And gaming is a huge piece of this platform. And I think one of the things that a lot of people don't know is we have our own SDK that people can build on top of. Arthur, who's our head of Unity development and principal architect on the Unity front, we watched him at a team all hands. You take the CrypToys SDK that he built, and we use something called Unity Visual Scripting, which allows you to create Unity-based games through what looks like you're building like a flowchart, dragging and dropping elements and things like that. We watched the entire company on an all hands, watched Arthur put together a CrypToys game from start to finish within 10 minutes. And okay, granted, it was a basic game, but it shows you if there's people that are going to be interested in building games, you can get folks of all ages that focus for a couple weeks to build out a game on top of our platform, utilizing the CrypToys assets and the whole world that we're creating. There's going to be some really cool stuff. And we have new versions of the block coming out. So just so much interactivity on the pipeline. This is beyond just something that stays in your backpack. You're going to be, wanting to do things with these toys every single day. So it's going to be, what do you want to do today? And we hope to give you a lot of options, my friend.
So here's the great thing. We're plotting, we're planning, we're strategizing, we're implementing. If you're a big fan of the metaverse and you're a big fan of gaming, it's $39.99 for a CrypToy. Yeah. And you get the cube, and you can either unwrap it, which is it's sort of the blister pack, or you can unwrap it all together and you can play with that toy. Yeah. You think about early speculation, and again, I'm going to come back to, because you and I, we have a lot of VV collectibles. I know that I do. And I remember my experience, which drew my attention, was the money first. And let me throw this out to you. I got a Superman post-mint, really post-launch. And again, at that point, the bots were acting really quick. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to get a Superman. Why not? 125 gems, which is $125. And I was able, at the height, I was able to sell that for $7,700. Now, my point being is that I saw the massive value from a money standpoint. Now we'll come back to the fun. You're speaking of a level of interactivity. You're talking about someone who developed a full-fledged game within 10 minutes right in front of everyone. And you're talking about the physical world meeting the digital world and how kids over the next 5 to 10 years are going to be playing. Are you going to see them on their PCs, or are you going to see them more on their phone? Or are you going to see them on a tablet? What do you think that looks like from the gamification standpoint?
I think you'll see them on all those things. And I think it really depends on the type of customer and the age and the consumer. So like if, our kids, and this is most kids that I see these days, the first device that they get is an iPad. They get typically the iPad before they get a mobile phone. So typically these days I see on average kids getting their first iPad around 6 or 7 years old. And then typically they get their phone. This is different for everybody, but like, between that, whether it's like 12 to 16-ish range, it seems like these days, is when the first cell phone kind of comes into the world. I'm not putting a blanket statement on anybody. Every family is different, but that kind of seems to be the average, right? And then computers, there's the family computer, the laptops that people share, and whatnot. So we're building cross-device. I will tell you that our games are built as a starting point on mobile, so that they are touch enabled, and you could have touch screens and can do different things with that. We do have desktop experiences as well. People see the block and they know that we're going to be building on top of the block, which is available on desktop. Will also be available on mobile as well in the future. So we really think cross-platform and just being wherever the consumers want to be, and meeting them there. But I do think not enough attention is being given to just this digital emergence that's happening, and just how much value you can really give people through these toys. I drive a Tesla, and a lot of people, like the real car purists, they'll be like, "That's not a car, bro. That's a golf cart." Or the thing that they say is, "That's a computer with wheels. That's not really a car." But I don't see it like that. What I see is a car that updates itself and gives me new features and functionality every 2 weeks. And that's something that a traditional car can never do, right? Wow. They have to buy the new car every 3 years. Now, I love physical toys. As you can see, I'm a freaking geek. I got them all. I'm surrounded by physical toys, right? To me, it's not an either or conversation. It's an and conversation. But with CRYPTOYS, we're talking about toys. You could say, okay, $39.99. I could buy a plastic toy for $20 or whatever the case may be. You also buy plastic toys for $200. Obviously, depends on the one that you want. But CRYPTOYS are going to be toys that constantly provide new functionality and can do new things, like the Tesla example, right? And you could only do that through digital deliveries and mechanisms. So like, I just think, people need to pay more attention to this emergence, and then consumers, it's nice to see people starting to have an open mind to it, because it is a jump, but I think it's one that's going to really deliver a lot of value to consumers at the end of the day.
So I want to throw out to Tony a quick screen share. I want to talk to you about sort of when I'm researching and preparing for our amazing guests such as you today, CRYPTOYS. I look at this picture real quick, Tony, if you could put that up on the screen share. And I read into this, and I read into a couple of reasons. First off, Game Boy. I probably had one of the first Game Boys in, I think, in 1988 or 89 when they first came out. And I see the gold coins, and I see the potion with the kitty heads on it, and the VHS tape. And I feel like what you're bringing is old world nostalgia to a new way of gamification. And I can't wait. And I'll ask, maybe we'll talk a little bit about playing on the block, because I didn't even know that was available. And I did as much due diligence as possible in prep for you. And then I think about the connection of utility. A digital asset, you never have to blow off, or, meaning clean it up, or if it gets damaged, you never have to worry. It can never get damaged. And then the value of physical things, because I believe that the physical and the digital realm, when they start to marry, Web 2 and Web 3, they come together. And Web 3 will no longer at some point be called Web 3. It's like the blockchain is the new internet.
Agreed.
And it will be something that people are engaging. They'll be on it. And, I look at what Starbucks is doing, what Nike is doing. I'm on the Odyssey program. I look at what you're doing, and you're making the on-ramp for people to get involved extremely easy. I just said last night's case in point, how difficult it was for me. So if I read into that, I see that there's a tremendous amount of value. There's a lot of thought that you and your team have put together from the fun play. Now, by the way, what does 1981 mean in the marketplace up on the register? You don't have to put it up again, Tony. We're good.
So our backstory for this whole platform, we have our characters. We have Comet, Alfie, and Juno. Those are our three characters. They are the line Zuafo Escape. So we do deals with brands, and we create CRYPTOYS with their IP. We also have our CRYPTOYS. These are our Mario and Luigi, so to speak, right? We create the world around them. And the backstory of those CRYPTOYS is that they are 8-bit video game characters from 1981 in a sleepy Midwest town called Fractal Falls, Montana. And they get sucked into a wormhole one night and transported 40 years from 1981 to present day, and get dumped onto the blockchain. And they kind of have to learn about this new world and the nature of their new existence. They go from 8-bit pixelated game characters to fully 3D animated, and they're one of one. Right before they were part of a game, and they really were on script, and there was really no difference between that one and the next one. But all of a sudden they're on the blockchain and they are truly one of ones and unique, right? And they can make their own decisions and discover things for themselves, and that's the backstory. So 1981 is where the entire story takes place. So 80s nostalgia. If you guys go ahead and after you watch the episode, you go to CRYPTOYS.com, you actually could see the trailer. Incredibly beautiful trailer, a Pixar quality animation. Just shout out to our team for putting that together. It goes through the backstory, and then it's very much like Stranger Things meets Pixar, and it's really something for all audiences. So, Craig, you and I would enjoy it for all the 1980s throwback nostalgia, and kids will love it for these cute, fluffy, incredible characters. And we hope it's something the whole family will enjoy together. And we're so bullish and so excited on the storytelling aspect of this world that we're creating. And we are in incredible meetings with some of the biggest names in Hollywood to maybe take this thing to the next level here. So we're really looking forward to that.
There's no such thing as maybe, Will. This is next level. And I think what we brought back at the very beginning, not a competitor, but somebody who's doing something gamification or collectibles in the space, we're able to say, okay, here's some mistakes that are made. We love your platform. Here's how we're proceeding forward. And I always say you learn from other people's mistakes, and they learn from their own, and they become better, and you become better, because it's like avoiding those potholes. Now, I do want to go quickly to Twitter Spaces, and I want to let everybody know in here, whoever's in here, I would love for you to retweet the room in real time. Will's going to be giving away one CRYPTOY in real time, but I want you not only to retweet the room, but for what you've heard currently, I want you to put something that's notable from what Will has said. Again, I've dropped some of the things that are most important. And again, tonality, and we talk about storyline, are incredibly important in bringing people together. If you have a good storyline, you're consistent, you have a powerful team, a lot of magic really starts to happen. And so we'll do the giveaway, and I'll allow Will, I'm going to let you pick that winner when we do the retweets, and we'll look through the room, and you'll probably have access if you go just on Twitter with your volume off, because we don't want that reverb repeat again. But I want to make sure that we're picking a winner who's really attentively listening and the value that's there. And what I do want to talk about real quick, and I don't know if you're a fan of them, I know that I am, and so we're going to do a quick, and in just a second, NFT Go, I want to do a quick screen share. But we had them on last week. We had Jared on. Jared is he's a beast in this space, and he was actually with his grandma in the hospital in real time. And he's like, "I'm coming on." He's like, "We're good." But I've read a lot of what NFT Go has out there, and I think my alpha last year was, if you called me and said, "Hey, Craig, listen, you want to get in on this coin, or you want to get in on this," I'd be like, "Well, Will said it. I don't have to do any research at all. There's nothing I need to know. Will said it. Will said it." And so basically, I would watch that go up. And you might not give me that call to say, "Craig, did you get out? Did you get out?" Because nobody ever feels good at selling. It's like, "Will, leave me alone. I'm going to ride this up." And how many people ride up the elevator on something just to have it drop right before them? And then they're left holding the bag. Nobody ever feels good in selling. But what I'd like to do really quick, Tony, and then we're gonna come right back to you, Will, is when you look at NFT Go, I think it's a 3-part thread. But they talk about their whales, portfolio value, how many collections someone has. But when you start to track wallets, you really start to have an understanding of how things are moving and how projects are moving. And long enough, if you do that, and you can come off that screen share. Thanks, my friend. When you do that for long enough, you're able to then figure out and to devise a plan. And then you talk with people or friends in the space, such as Will, and you start to understand how are they seeing the market. So, Will, I want to come to you on this big question. Tell us your biggest loss to date, where you thought you had it nailed down and, man, you just fell short.
In the Web3 space?
Yeah.
Or in general?
Yeah. Let's go specifically in the Web3 space for just fun for any degens that are tuning in on Twitter Spaces.
Oh, wow. That's a tough one.
He has Web 2 thought up. All right, give me your real world experience where you fell short. We'll take that one.
You know what? So like during the pandemic, there was a massive run up in everything. I'm a big consumer and fan of the products of Tesla, and I just love everything that company has been doing. I've been driving a Tesla for a few years now, and I love the product. I got into it, and I'm like, this is the future of cars. So I bought the stock, made a few mistakes on that one. First of all, I bought it early on. It dipped a little bit, sold it, right? Then I bought it. So horrible timing on that one. Then I decided to re-up in a big way. I re-upped, the stock took off like crazy. And then I guess, got really, happy looking at my E-Trade balance every single day. And I'm like, that's just going to maintain like that. And I'm good. And then just watch this thing just plummet and not take gains when I could have, because I was such a fan of, and I still am, I'm such a fan of the product and the platform. So I think it's always good to diversify and take profits when you can, no matter what, no matter how much of a fan you are of the platform or the product or whatever the case may be. Investing, you can never lose money by taking profits, ever, no matter how small or big it is. So I've turned from an investor that I definitely still have a long-term view, and I will hold assets and stocks for a very long time, but I moving forward, I like to diversify a portion of it and at least take some money off the table, just to feel better about myself and make sure that I'm making the right responsible decisions, and I'm not letting that psychology get the best of me, because that's so tough when investing.
It is. And again, I call it the elevator ride. Nobody feels good on taking profits.
Right.
We feel great on getting in. We get that oxytocin boost.
Yeah.
When we look early on and I think about, the process of collaborating with the big brands such as Mattel, and you're having conversations with other big people and companies in Hollywood. It tells me, based on storyline, based on where you're going, it gets me really excited. And what I do want to do is a really quick screen share, if we can, Tony. By the way, those who aren't following NFT Go, please go follow them as well. They're incredible in the space. But I do want to talk about a number of the videos. You guys have 925 subscribers on YouTube, and I love a lot of the videos. Most importantly, I love Meet the Team live, on live stream, and really get to know all the team members. So shout out to Steph, shout out to Proof. I love what they're doing. I think they're an incredible complement along with the rest of your team. But the videos are really important because it shares around community. It talks a lot about collectors, and that's something that is important, because when you get people involved, you want them to not only stay connected, but we look at it this: your number one importance is the consumer, is your clients, your token holder. The second most important, which I think they almost rely parallel on each other, and let's talk about the team, is your team. Because if you don't have a great team, your product is irrelevant, and your product interests will get lost by the holders, and at some point they'll just sell all their bags versus taking profits. Talk to me a little bit about your team. Let's dive into them a little bit.
Yeah, there's a great saying in startup land: the team you build is the company you build, right? So it all starts with the team, and team is everything, first and foremost. And as an investor, when I'm looking to invest in companies, it all starts with the team, because ideas can change, you can pivot, you can make learnings, change the product entirely. You need a great team that can really push through, and ones that have perseverance and can stick through it, no matter how tough the times are or the markets are, because as we all know, the markets are extremely tough right now, and that have conviction to stick through it. So yeah, we look for folks that really believe in what we're doing. It obviously starts with leadership, and we have incredible people at the company at the top. And a lot of folks, like on our art and animation team, Freddie's been able to bring in from his relationships working, throughout various, Hollywood studios and video game studios throughout the years. And they just know what an incredible stand-up guy he is. And, same goes for all the other, folks on leadership: Emilio, Fonz, JT, et cetera. We bring a lot of that, to the table there. And then, all the directors and everybody all the way down the list, every single person at the company has this ethos and drive that's intangible. You could just sense it, like oftentimes, when you're looking to hire, you kind of make a decision if you're going to hire missionaries or mercenaries. And I've always been someone that wants to hire missionaries. Mercenaries, they have their place, but usually you hire a mercenary because they're, just a stop. It's a pit stop between their next gig. They're there for a year, they're there for 2, we'll get the job done. They don't really care about the mission. They don't care about the overarching impact that you have in the world. They're there for the paycheck, and then they'll figure out what their next move in their career is. And sometimes, mercenaries have their place in a very focused place. But if you look at CRYPTOYS, I could tell you that every single one of those people are missionaries that believe in the product and believe in what we're doing, and believe in long-term, like, look, if you look at the people on the company, they have options. There's lots of things that they can do and choose to do, but they're there because with CRYPTOYS, because they believe in what we're doing, and that's incredibly humbling and something that I'm honored to say. Like the team that we've been able to attract as an extension of them. Like we hired folks early on that set the culture for the company, and then it emanates outwardly into other folks throughout the organization. So the team is absolutely incredible. Not only are they experienced, these are folks that have worked at major Hollywood studios and video game studios, you name it. We've had somebody that's kind of worked at that studio once upon a time. We're just blessed. And if you create a digital toy company, that attracts a certain type of person. And it goes not just the team itself, but just the kind of community that we've been able to attract.
Yeah.
It's very much people that are looking and feel that innate sense of happiness and like what CRYPTOYS can mean to people. Like CRYPTOYS is like kind of like a bright beacon in a world that's kind of full of a lot of minutia and gray and shady people and things like that. And CRYPTOYS at its essence, I believe, Craig, that we become adults and we're constantly looking for ways to feel like a kid again through everything that we do. So like whether it's the clothes that we decide to wear, the toys that we buy, whether it's cars or physical toys or video games that we play or the people we connect with and interact and network with, we're constantly looking for that spark of what it feels like when you're a kid and you're discovering that for the first time. I think that's what made Web3 great early on, was that we were feeling like a kid again, for the first time ever. And if you look at the 64 people across the company, they all have that innate, like childlike, energy inside of them to create and discover. And that's what makes the team, so incredibly special.
I love that you said we when you referred to not yourself, but we, the team.
Always.
And I also love the idea around missionary versus mercenary. Mercenary have a place, but they're short term.
Right.
Missionaries are there because they really want to be there. And you have so many qualified people. And I think they believe in the vision from leadership on down. And I want to say, on down, I like to go sideways parallel, meaning that the conversation or that final decision is probably going to come up to you. Now, I want to do something that might have been a first on any podcast that you've been on. Tony, I want to do a quick screen share, and I want to unbox one of mine. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about Twitter and Discord. So that sounds good to you.
Let's do it.
All right. Bring me to the screen share. All right, here we go. So talk to me a little bit about this process. I'm going to click on the begin unboxing and tell us a little bit of how this goes down.
Yeah. So you start, your experience. This is a CryptoCube. You're going to unbox it right here on the spot. You hit continue. You get sucked in through a portal because everything's about time travel, through CryptoCube. So here the portal opens up and we're going to get sucked into this is a Master of the Universe cube. So we're getting sucked into Eternia right now. And here we are in Eternia, and you can see the incredible, beautiful art behind you with Castle Grayskull, and then also the incredible CryptoCube cube that was custom made for Masters of the Universe. Here you are. You see it feels alive. There's like something alive inside. You can see it pulsating and cool sound effects and whatnot. And then as soon as you're interested in unboxing, you just tap and hold on the cube.
Okay, I think I'm doing that. For some reason, maybe it's on my touchpad. Oh, this action cannot be undone. Well, that we know.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, just click right there and just tap and hold. Yep.
Okay. There we go.
Boom. So now you've kickstarted the process, and now your CryptoCube cube will unbox right in front of you. So let's
there
see.
We go. Yes. Come on. This would be cool. Come on. Luck. Come on.
Get a big one.
See, this is the fun part of it right here. I get excited. All right, what do we got?
Yeah, you got a common Prince Adam, and the commons are awesome because those are the OGs. Those are the original ones. Like as you get to the more rare ones, they're more artistic interpretations, and they're still great. But these are the OGs. You see 1983 Prince Adam. So
love it.
Even the comments are awesome.
I love it. And by the way, at the end of the episode, we'll stay in for 5 or 10 minutes just on Twitter Spaces. Yeah. If anybody has any questions. But let's talk about now Discord and Twitter for growth of CrypTOYS. Now, when I first started the podcast last year, and I was introduced to NBA Top Shot and all those things by my friend Sean Rosenfeld, who's part of our JPEG Morgan family. Yep. I didn't go to sleep that entire night, but I had no idea how important crypto Twitter would be to growing my brand, for being recognized as a conversationalist in the space. And then Discord, I still don't love Discord. I try to embrace it as much as possible. But talk to me about how both of those have really helped propel the Web3 community to get that message out there.
I mean, Twitter and Discord, it's kind of it's important so much in Web3 and the type of projects that we're building. You know, Discord is really like your family hub, so to speak. It's really where the community gets together and converses. Oftentimes when we break news, we'll break it first in Discord. So it usually starts there. Our early adopters are in there. Poof and Steph, they do an incredible job just organizing things in like really nice like channels and making sure there's so much information with the CRYPTOYS platform. They do a really great job, like, you know, setting it up in a way that's easy to digest. And then social media, I mean, Twitter is fortunately and unfortunately where all the Web3 kind of activity really starts. Really, it's kind of the only game in town as far as like what like native Web3 people check on a daily basis. We're trying to branch out into other areas like LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, etc. But Twitter has really been the de facto. And again, shout out to our social media team, you know, Cassie and Steph, who really do a great job on Twitter, you know, really, you know, creating content and putting things out there. And one thing about our Twitter, you know, that you know, I think people would be happy about is we never bought one single follower, where we can't say that about a lot of other platforms, you know, in the space out there. Like every single follower, you know, is organic, and you know, we pride ourselves on that because there's a lot of fake numbers out there, and you know, we want to make sure we stay true. And even if it's a slower growth, and you know, it's amazing. People see these projects launch a week ago, and oh my God, they have 100,000 followers and 250,000 followers, but you know.
By the way, talk about organic. You know, we're over 103 listeners on Twitter Spaces, which is exciting. And I know early on when we were talking about it, we probably had about 35 listeners in the room at that time and told them to retweet. And so I want to honor that. So I don't know if you have your Twitter Spaces up. We want to go over that. And what we're going to do today in reverse, Will, I just want to prepare you, is I usually do rapid fire questions for my guests. And since it's just you and I today, and MetaMatt's not feeling good co-host at home, and Ralph's not in for this episode, he's been busy in meetings. I want to actually have that flipped, and you're going to hit me with some rapid fires in a little bit. But before we do, I want to try to pick a winner right now, and I want everybody who's not following or engaging with CraigO's Crypto Corner, love you guys to go follow us, connect with us on YouTube and Facebook. And if you're not engaging with CryPTOYS, you're really missing out because, Will, I got to tell you, man, I was bullish on you before, really bullish. If anything, that just doubled and tripled as far as I'm concerned. You've got a lot of gamers in the room, such as Don Paulo, Matt, and Easton Gladney. They're from the Multiverse blockchain, and they have their project X First. Their community is incredible, and we'll be having them on in the coming months. So big shout out to them. Proof, Casey, Josh Ung has been in the whole episode. I mean, he's a true OG, NFT Go. But as we're going through and I'm looking through the room, is there anybody that you want to pick as the winner? Were there any retweets? Renee, I'm just looking over at you because I know it's kind of hard to do multifaceted platforms. A lot of retweets. That's great. All right. Can you see those? Can you see those, Will?
I do see the retweets. It's going to be tough to pick one because, you know, I'm a fan of a lot of these people here. I defer back to you, or if you want, we can randomize it. I think
I'm gonna pick it. I'll be the bad guy. That way they can follow me and we can keep you protected. You're I'll take the bullet for you, Will. All right, let me go here. I'm looking through in real time. And by the way, everybody who's retweeted the room, I love you. I can't say enough good things about everybody who's tuning in today. And then we're gonna leave the room open for about another 10 to 15 minutes after, depending on the engagement. All right, I'm gonna pick it at random. I'm looking right now. All righty. Renee, help me out here. Help me out. Who is the best at retweeting? I think I see the person, but I don't know. You're going to pick it, Renee. I'm deferring to someone else in my studio. Hold on. Appreciate everybody that's in here. I mean, this has been an incredible conversation around all that's going on. But before, I want to make sure there's a pinned tweet. If you guys check it out, I think Renee might have put it up. But my talented studio here at Downtime TV did a Mario and Luigi with the Morphin Power Rangers. Am I correct on this? Tony, help me out here.
It's called Mighty Morphin Power Plumbers. It is the only Super Mario and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers crossover out there right now.
right now. And by the way, their talent, their acting talent, their ability to edit, our incredible studio that's here at my friend's building, the Knowlton, right here in Bridgeport, Connecticut. So if you're anywhere in the local area, you want to pop in, please, let me know. You can hang out in the studio. Who are we picking, Renee? Casey Moulton? She's a CRYPTOYS enthusiast. That's who we're picking, Will.
I love Casey.
We're going with Casey. Casey, DM Will. You know what to do, and Will's going to give you your CRYPTOY. This is awesome. All right, so let me flip it back around on you. All right, we usually hit our guests with the rapid fire questions. I think I've been asking you a lot, so I want to just give the seat to you because you're a great conversationalist as well. I don't know. So what do we got? Hold on one second.
We got a comment here from Casey. They're saying no, and they're asking us to pass it on.
Oh, wow.
Casey wants more folks in the community. I love that.
I love that, Casey. That's what I call selfless. Yeah. That also, by the way, that is a team of missionaries. Your community, they act as well as the team.
Awesome.
You've got 64 plus you plus the rest of your community of CRYPTOY enthusiasts. All right, so who are we picking? We don't want to make this too complicated. We want to make this fun. Matter of fact, you're going to make me the enemy of the state, and I'm just going to pick somebody at random. So I'm looking right now. I want to see who we're going to give it to. Hold on. I'm going to pick somebody. Fine. I'm going to take this then if nobody can make up their mind. All right, I'm looking. All right, so I'm going to get somebody in that I see on screen right now. All right, I'm going to actually give it to my good friend. I'm doing it selfishly because I know he retweeted the room. He better have, or I'm in big trouble. Mr. Easton Gladney, you have won. DM Will. I want this. You're a gamer. You're a 20-something-year-old. He's also a dear friend of mine. We have our great conversations, brainstorm between the 40-something and the 20-something. It's amazing. All the time. I've learned so much from him. So big shout out, Easton. You have won. You're a winner chicken dinner. So Will, I want to come back to you. Let's flip the script on me for the next 2 minutes here in on the podcast, and have you hit me with some rapid fire questions. I'll do my best to answer them, and then we'll tune off of this podcast, and we're going to stay on for a little bit since we still have some listeners, about 45 people in the room. Yeah, it got this hard from you. Thanks, Easton. So hit me with some rapid fires. Let me see what I might be able to answer from my end.
Didn't prep any. I'll have to just off the top of the dome. Okay.
Off the top of the head.
Okay, iPhone or Android?
Android.
Backstreet Boys or NSYNC?
NSYNC.
All right, awesome. Let's see what else. Ethereum or Bitcoin?
Ethereum.
All right. Connecticut or Miami?
Miami. I'm done. I'm done being out of my own state.
Love Connecticut. I got a lot of family in Connecticut. Let's see. What else? Got to think of a few others. Get some from the audience as well.
All right, let's okay, you know what we're going to do? Now we're going to go in real time. We're going to actually end out this episode. Stay on with us, Will, because we're going to stay in the room for a little bit and see if we can get some interaction from our community.
By the way, Connecticut, I have a question about Connecticut. Dave Portnoy, Barstool Sports, says New Haven, Connecticut, the best pizza on planet Earth. Not Italy. No, it's New Haven, Connecticut. Can you subscribe to that? Is that an accurate statement?
Sure. Between Pepe's and when I was a kid, I actually was friends with Sarah Bamonte from Bamonte's Pizza.
All right.
Way back. Yeah, great pizza. Don't shake your head no, Tony. I don't want to hear it. All right, let's end out this episode, and everybody on Twitter Spaces, stay on for a little bit so we can talk directly with Will and start to engage just a little bit more for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Thanks so much. Thank you so much for watching CraigO's Crypto Corner, the best in Web3, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency technologies. CraigO signing off.